and talk about LinkedIn. So again, welcome to everyone. I'm Carolyn Cater, one of the career counselors here in CSE. And today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn and how to build a strong professional profile. I did title this LinkedIn 101 because I really want to go over the basics. But if you've already had the basics covered, I am going to be sharing some additional tips and tricks to take already good profile up to the next level and make it really great. So hopefully you'll gain something out of this, whether you've never logged into LinkedIn before or you've been using it for years, but just really want to take it to the next level. So hopefully we can cover both things today. Okay, so again, starting with the basics, LinkedIn 101, what is LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a place to build a professional profile. This is a social networking site. It's a platform designed to have professionals and businesses connect and engage with each other. It provides users with tools and resources to be able to showcase their skills, experiences, and to build their professional brand online. It's also a place for employers to advertise their company, their mission, vision, values, as well as jobs, positions that they have open. It's a site that is heavily used in the recruiting space and in the hiring space. So we're going to spend a lot of our time talking about that, as that's what a lot of people focus for LinkedIn is. So that kind of brings us to my next question, which is how can you use it? So primarily, we use LinkedIn for networking, but also for exploring careers, finding job opportunities. It's where employers are posting jobs. About in the high 90s, like 98 or 99% of recruiters are using LinkedIn on an active basis. So a very important tool for that industry. And it can be used to build your professional brand and beyond. So I wanted to just put up a quick poll here and see. So you should see a poll popping up for you on your screen. Just curious as to what you're using LinkedIn for. How are you using it in your space? Will kind of help me inform my tips as I'm sharing them this afternoon. And then also wondering about the frequency. Is this something you're logging into every day? Something that you have never logged into, just so I can kind of get a baseline for where folks are at. Okay, so it looks like we're getting some answers in here. About half are using it for job searching. We've got over half for job searching, a little bit under half for networking, and then a lot for career exploration as well. So that's great. And it looks like we're kind of average on our usage. People using it, within the last month or so, but some folks have not used it at all. So thanks for filling that out. It's helpful to kind of get a gauge for where people are at. Okay, so we talked a little bit about what LinkedIn is. We're all on the same page there. Now let's talk a little bit about what makes a good LinkedIn profile. So how can you take your profile really to the next level beyond just having it out there and passively waiting for something to happen with it? So a good LinkedIn profile reflects you and your personal brand. It's something that you're actively engaging with your network through. So connecting with brands, with people that you know in real life, connecting with them, expanding your network. So reaching out and connecting with folks maybe you've never met, but trying to build up that network. And adding value to the LinkedIn community is another piece of what makes a good LinkedIn profile. So it's not just being a part of LinkedIn and having a profile, it's actually adding value where you can. So commenting on other people's posts, sharing their posts for a wider reach, helping connect people to one another. There are great people who spend a lot of their time just connecting people on LinkedIn. So it can be used for a multitude of things there, and that can be really helpful. And then a great profile is complete. One of the most important things you can do to help your LinkedIn profile stand out is just to complete every box that you can, and then really optimize those boxes or those categories for searching, so that the people that you want to find you can find you. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth on how to do that here in just a minute. So profile building blocks, how are you going to build this good profile for yourself? First of all, we want to start and think about what our purpose is. So just like I asked you, what are you using LinkedIn for? I really want you to think about what are you using your profile for? Are you out there actively job searching right now? Are you working to build your network? Determining what the purpose of your profile is will help you determine what content to put in it. You really need to identify your audience and think about who will be consuming your profile. If you're job searching, your profile will probably be pretty future oriented, looking towards what's next for you in pursuit of things that are coming from the future, as opposed to if you're in more of a stable position and you're really just working to expand your network, your profile might be more about showcasing work you're currently doing, about connecting with people that are in similar positions to you, and idea sharing about work that you're doing currently. So that identification of the audience can be a really key purpose in what you're doing with your LinkedIn profile. And it can really help you figure out what exact content you want to share on your profile and how to highlight or showcase the skills that you have depending on who the audience is. The next building block is connecting. So LinkedIn is a social media platform that works a lot on being connected to other people on the platform. So really important to think about who you can connect with as far as people, what people are in your immediate network, your first connections. You'll see on LinkedIn, you will have first level connections. Those are people that your profiles are actually connected to one another. And then you'll see second and third ring connections. So the people that are connected to the people you're connected to, and that third ring connected to those people. And so the more first ring connections you have, then the greater those other circles become. So looking to see who can you connect with in a meaningful way to make those circles even bigger. The other thing you can do is connect with organizations. So those that you've been affiliated with, I'm going to show you how to do that on your actual profile. And then connecting with organizations by following them is another great way to kind of influence those circles, because when you're following those companies and organizations, you can comment on those posts, and that shows activity and engagement. And then it also brings you into the light of the people who are working in that organization, also looking at those posts and maybe commenting on that as well. So engaging with people in that way. Another building block, our third one here, is about optimizing those sections of your profile for search. So using keywords from job descriptions, from industry, that can help the people who are trying to find you or that you want to find you. Having those keywords on your profile will help bring people into your profile. The AI and optimization on LinkedIn is very good. And so I'm going to show you a few key places to really make sure you've got words strategically placed to be able to come up in more searches more often. And then the last piece that I've mentioned throughout, but is really just engaging. So being active on LinkedIn increases your reach and how far those connections can expand, and will help bring people into your profile and into bring you into their attention and help you connect and hopefully, find a job if that's what you're looking for, expand your network if that's what you're looking for, or learning more about jobs and opportunities that are out there if you're geared more towards career exploration and kind of figuring out what your next steps might be. I'm going to stop my presentation here, and we're going to just jump into actually looking at LinkedIn. I think it's really helpful to see what the platform actually looks like. And I'm going to show you some ways that you can edit and a few examples of profiles that I think are helpful to see. So when you log into LinkedIn, you're going to see a landing page similar here to mine. You're going to have a news feed that's pulling from those companies that you followed or interests that you've indicated, and then the people that you're connected with in their posts. So this can be a place to spend some time to do some of that activity and engagement. And we could probably have a whole nother LinkedIn session just on engaging on LinkedIn, but just bringing that to your attention today, just to kind of dip the surface there. We're going to go look at my profile, and I'll just show you some things. I've prepared a few things on here for the presentation today just to show you some tips and tricks. But the first thing, one of the most impactful sections of your profile is going to be right when someone opens it. So there are three major components here that are going to really develop your first impression on LinkedIn for the viewer. Those three elements are your photos up here, and your cover photo or background photo, your profile photo, and then your headline. So we're going to talk about each of those in a little bit more depth. Having a good profile picture is really important on LinkedIn. Having something that's professional, that's of just you, is impactful. It sets the tone and impression. It might be the only impression someone has of you. Maybe they've never met you. So it's good to have something that is representative of who you are. If you don't have a professional portrait of yourself, I will put in a little plug for another event we have this week on Friday here in Lind Hall. We're going to be doing free professional portraits up on the 4th floor. I'll share the Z link for the handshake event at the end, and you can sign up for a slot if that's interesting to you. If you don't have one, it's a great way to get one. My other recommendation here is most smartphones these days have a portrait setting in the camera filter. So if you just kind of swipe over to the filters, there's usually one called portrait mode. You can actually just take a photo right on your smartphone. This photo that I have on here was actually taken in that way. So you can get a great professional looking photo just with an iPhone camera or whatever smartphone you have someone take it, pop it up on a tripod, and it'll automatically blur that background behind you to create a really professional looking headshot. So, so just another recommendation, if you need a profile photo, handy statistic is that you're 13 times more likely to get recruiter views with a nice photo of yourself. So take the time to do that. It's not always our favorite thing to have our picture taken, but can be an important piece of making that first impression. The other photo that you'll want to fill in here is your cover photo or your background photo. So picking something, again, that shows maybe a little bit of your personality, shows something you're interested in. I was going to show you this example of a student who works in the career services office. This is one of our peers in the office, and they use this project that they were working on as an electrical engineering student. I think this is a really fun way to showcase something that you're working on, a little bit about you, with something that's really interesting and unique and eye-catching. I want to know more about what that was when I see a picture like this. You can also keep it really simple. Another example here is this great graphic. So something that's eye-catching, bright colors, makes me want to engage with this profile. So make it yours, make a good impression here with your photos. And then your headline. So this headline that appears under your name is something that is introduction to you and your work and what your purpose on LinkedIn is. So there are a lot of different ways that you can use this. I'm going to pop back over here to my presentation because I'm going to go in a little more depth here on this one. So your LinkedIn headline is one of the most important elements in the LinkedIn search algorithm. So when folks are searching for you or are searching for candidates, are searching for people to connect with, the algorithm is going to pull from the headline as one of its key places. So having really good words, search keywords in your headline is going to be really important. Additionally, if someone is just Googling your name, and your LinkedIn profile pops out, your headline is going to be a part of what they see. So this is, again, something important to keep in mind when you're writing your headline as to making sure that it is representative of your LinkedIn profile and your experience and what you want to showcase. And as a part of that first impression, they may see that you are job searching. They could see that you're open to connecting with other people. They're going to maybe see areas of specialty that you work on. So really important to have those elements in your headline. You will find that there are two different approaches out there to how folks fill in this headline. Sometimes it can be a stumbling block. So I've got some examples to share with you. And I guess technically there's probably three, because one is just using the default that LinkedIn puts in there. So when you sign up for a LinkedIn profile and you fill in some information, it's going to default a headline in there for you. I would highly challenge you and encourage you to change that, to customize it. Again, it's a super important part of your profile. So I have two approaches listed out here, mostly from what I've seen. These are where people fall. There's a sentence structure, so having it more written like a bullet on a resume or a description in more of a sentence format, or some folks take a more keyword format with just listing some keywords and dividing with these these vertical lines. So I've got a few examples here of sentence structure. So this first one here is the results-driven mechanical engineer seeking manufacturing role to apply technical expertise and project management skills. So that is a really clear, here's who I am, here's what I'm looking for, and here are some of the skills I bring to it. A computer science student with a strong foundation in programming and database management. So again, tells me that this is a student, what their specialty areas are, and that they have a really strong foundation in those two things. When we move down and look at the keyword examples, you can see here this is much quicker of a description. So taking the approach of about 3 keywords is a really good place to start. So you might think about what are what's a skill you bring, what's an area that you're focused in, and something that's important about you. So you can see some examples here. A results-driven analyst that works in claims management and has some experience with data science. You could also see this one here, aspiring programmer, coding and emerging technologies. Tells you just a little snippet about the person. And hopefully what this does is intrigue someone to want to learn more about you. This headline is to catch their attention and encourage them to continue reading. It needs to be enough to spark them to want to know more about you. If all they're seeing in the recruiter view, typically when a recruiter does a search, the thing that they will see first is they're just going to see your profile picture and your headline. And so what is going to make that recruiter want to click on you and know more about you? What's going to make that hiring manager want to click on your profile and learn more about your experience? So think about, what are those top 3 skills? What are those top 3 most important things about you? And try to come up with some really good keywords. The other place that you could think about pulling keywords from is from the job description. So something I would encourage you to do as you're working on your LinkedIn profile is to go out and find, it's particularly if you're job searching, but even if you're not, this can be a great way to help fill in your profile, is to find 3 to 5 job descriptions of jobs that you're really interested in. One of them might be your dream job. And then find those keywords from the requirements, from the job description itself, and pull out some of the keywords and make sure they're a part of your LinkedIn profile. When a hiring manager or a recruiter goes to search for candidates, that's where they're getting their search words from. They're looking for software that they're asking for in job descriptions. They're looking for key skills. They're looking for transferable skills. All those things that are in the job description are going to be what they're using to search for you, and that's what then the AI will use to find you. So if those words, if those key skills, if those computer programs aren't listed in your profile, you're not going to come up in those searches. So this headline can be a place where you can pack some of those in to really grab attention and really get on the radar of people that you want to find you. Okay, I'm going to pause for just a second. I'm not seeing any, oops, this is not the end. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat or the Q&A yet, but if you have any, feel free to put them in there, and I'm happy to kind of answer as we go along. I'm going to toggle back now to looking at our LinkedIn profiles examples here. So you can see I've taken the keyword approach here with mine. I am not currently job searching. I'm very happy here at the U. And so my profile is really about who my audience is, which are my peers, folks that I'm working with and connecting with in the career services space, It's our employers who are hiring our CSE students, and then it's also our students. So I want students to see what kind of areas I specialize in when they come to my profile. So thinking about that audience, that's how I came up with what my headline is and what key skills I want to show about myself, and hopefully help other people find me that way. So if a student is looking for someone to help them find a career in STEM, hopefully my profile will come up as someone that they could talk to. A couple other just quick details I wanted to point out before we move on from this first impression, which I know we've spent a good amount of time talking about this very small section of your profile, but it really matters a lot. Two other quick things I just want to point out. Sometimes we get asked about what name folks should use on their profile. Maybe you use a shortened version of your name or a nickname. Our advice is really just to use, to be consistent, to use the name that you're going to use on your resume or on other professional documents, the way you would introduce yourself to someone if you met them at a networking event. So keep that in mind and just try to be consistent across your platforms and profiles and where you have your name so that it's not confusing for folks who are looking for you. And then the other helpful thing I wanted to show you is that you can edit your public profile URL by clicking here on this link. The great thing about this is this will make your LinkedIn URL will default to your name and like lots of numbers and symbols. And sometimes we go to put that link on our resume and it's very clunky and long and takes up a lot of space on the page. It's really quick to edit it just by clicking that button. You can come over here and right here you can customize what you want your LinkedIn URL to be. So this will default in here, and then I've just used my first hyphen last name. You could do the same. If there's multiple people with your name, just adding 1 or 2 numbers as opposed to a big long string can be really helpful to kind of keep that short. You could do your name, a period in between your 2 names, or use the middle initial, whatever you need to do, but very helpful to have that shortened for lots of reasons. So it's just a quick tip to help you with that if you're going to put your URL on a resume. Okay, so we talked about this top section. A few things about my profile. You'll notice I've got these talks about kind of up here. This is because my profile is in a creator mode and I wouldn't recommend you need to do that. So you can ignore that part of it. As we scroll down here, you'll see your activity will show up. This part is just viewable to you, but it shows kind of what you've been up to on LinkedIn. And again, important that you're actively engaging on LinkedIn and contributing to the community as a part of building your network and building your presence on this platform. The next piece we're going to talk about is your summary. So this is another really great place where you have some freedom to describe and tell your audience about you. This is another place where you can use some of those keywords to really help yourself be promoted up in searches. You can use this section however you'd like. It's pretty open. I think there is a character limit, but this can sometimes be a tricky spot. It's just called about. So what do you put here? A really quick way to fill this in, if this is holding you up, is to just think about a couple of quick sentences, maybe 2 or 3 sentences about who you are, something that's interesting about you, what you're currently doing, and then a sentence about what you hope to do in the future. So if you're job searching, it might be mentioning that. It could also be about something you're really proud of in the past, some accomplishment you've made, a project you worked on, a skill that you have that others don't. This is really a place where you can tell your story. So in my example, I talk about how my path to get to the career counselor position I'm in now wasn't just linear out of grad school, career counselor, and so on. I took a little detour and did some other things in my career before ending up in this position. So something that I think is interesting about me and not the same for every career counselor that you might meet. So, so this is where you can highlight a story like that about yourself. This can also be a fun place if you know an organization uses different personality inventories like strengths, Quest or the Myers-Briggs, you could include those here. So this place is really what you want to make it, and can be a great place to showcase some skills or experiences you've had that maybe don't fit into some of the other categories. It can be a place where you talk about what you're really passionate about. It can talk about your research interests. Lots of great information that you can use here. And again, this could be another place where you're using those skills, interests, and abilities that you're finding on job descriptions of what employers are looking for, to be able to fill in and highlight some of the skills that you have in this area. Okay, make sure I covered everything I wanted to in there. The other thing I was going to say about it, as I mentioned, sometimes this can be an area where we get hung up, or we worry a lot about what's going to be here, because it is so open and there is so many possibilities. So I would recommend, if this is a stopping point for you, to just put something simple here, a couple of sentences about yourself, and move on. You can always go back and edit it. I've edited this section of my LinkedIn profile so many times I can't even count. So feel free to get something in there for now. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then you can always go back and edit and change after you've done other pieces, or you've read other people's. You might get a great idea. It can be a place that can ebb and flow as needed. If you do have a summary on your resume, this could be a place where you can put that summary. So if you've already done all the work to create a professional summary for yourself in another place, this would be another option for filling in this about section as well. Okay, we're going to move into our experience section. So this is where you're going to link your previous jobs, work experiences, projects, things that you've done here in this experience section. To add to any of your sections, you'll always find this plus sign here, and it'll prompt you with the basic information to add into, to populate into this formula that they have set up here. Again, you can always go back and edit these sections with the pencil. So if you realize you left something off, or forgot a detail, or put something in wrong, you can always come back and edit. Something to look at here too is just your settings on what's announced to your network. When you change or adapt things in LinkedIn, there are a lot of profile settings. And so sometimes if you add a new job, it will automatically blast that out to your network. If that's not something you're comfortable sharing, you may look at your privacy settings for that. Or if you're editing a lot, sometimes it'll post that you were promoted, but maybe that was like 6 or 7 years ago, things like that. So if you have concerns about things sending out to your network, just a good reminder to check your profile settings. So when you do add your employers, your former employers, your current employers, you really want to make sure that you're linking the actual company to your position. So you can see here, my past positions are linked to the companies that I worked for, and you can tell that by their logo appearing here. If you haven't, you'll see a logo that looks like this. This is the generic LinkedIn logo. So if you're not connecting to the actual employer, it'll look like this. When you do, the helpful thing is that if somebody is a part of this network, it's going to connect you to it. So again, as we talked about, LinkedIn is all based off of connections. So if you're connected to these different employers, that's going to open up more connections and more visibility of your profile on LinkedIn. So if you click on this, I'll just show you what that looks like. And it's going to take you to the University of Minnesota's College of Science and Engineering page. And this is connecting me to all the other almost 200 people who work here. And it'll show you a little bit about your former or current employer. This is what an employer page looks like, and it's connecting me to that. So if someone wanted to know more about that, it would also show them if they have anybody in common with you. By clicking here, it'll show any of their connections that work here. So if they were curious about someone that you might know in common, they could see that here as well. I'm going to pop back over to that profile. So sometimes folks will ask, should I list employment experience that isn't relevant to what I'm applying for or what I'm doing now? And it's really up to you and what you want to put on your LinkedIn, but I would encourage you to do so, even though we may have worked in a different industry. Those connections and that transferable skills that you gain from those positions can be really important to highlight. You can highlight them through your descriptions, your transferable skills, but LinkedIn will also pull any skills you link to your jobs into these areas. So you can show that you've gained different transferable skills through different positions, even if they're not directly related to what you are hoping to apply for. The other question about this section that's pretty common is, what do you put in this description area? And you can do a few different things. Some people choose to copy and paste from their resume and put that information right as a part of these descriptions. And that is a fine way to do it, especially if you're just trying to get something up and running and get your profile established and completely filled out, which we know is really important. The other option would be to do what I've done here, which is to kind of summarize what you've done in each of your positions in more of a paragraph style. Again, working in keywords and skills that you want to highlight throughout your experience there. So we'll move on from experience and talk a little bit about education. So this is where you can put in your education, degrees that you've had, things that you're working on. Certificates are going to be a little bit lower down, but any formal education you've had, you can link here. You can link your university the same way you would link employers. So again, really important, because when you do that, that links you to the university, links you to the alumni network, and pulls it to your profile. So you'll want to make sure you link the University of Minnesota in here and get your degree listed. If you're in progress, there's a button to click to say that you're still in progress. So you'll want to do that if you're still currently pursuing your degrees. And you can also put your anticipated graduation date in there as well. I was going to show you here license and certifications. This can be another really helpful way to show some of your skills if you've done some additional education on your own, if you've gone and got certified in certain computer programs. So I just wanted to show you the difference here between leaving this unlinked and then actually linking it to the organization you got the certification from, or your education. So I want to go here to edit. When I had set this up for myself way back when, I didn't link the organization that I got this from. So this was actually from the Gallup Institute. And so I'm going to link them here now. And you can see how that takes away the generic LinkedIn logo and changes it to the Gallup. And then this will open up more connections and more reach for me as I am networking with folks. It will connect me to other people who went through this same training. So just a nice way to be able to connect. And it also, I think, gives your profile a little bit more of an official look to it. So, okay. And then, so add licenses, certifications here. You can also add any volunteer work that you've done. And again, linking to organizations that you've done volunteer work. Another great place to describe what you did there. And then you may also describe why that organization is important to you for volunteering at, or impacts you've made, things that you learned being a part of that volunteer experience. Can be a really great way to showcase skills that you've gained and that you're contributing to the community that you're a part of. So volunteering could be a great thing to highlight, and it might be something that you have in common with someone else. So again, creating those connections where they are. The skills section is going to be another key point for our AI. So we really want to make sure you spend some time on your skills. You can list up to 50 skills here in your skills section. There are ways through LinkedIn to demonstrate those skills. You can complete evaluations on different areas to kind of get a little LinkedIn badge or get certified on different skills in LinkedIn. But you can also just add them. And I'm going to show you how to add them here. If you select this plus, it's going to, the AI will pull information from your profile to suggest skills for you. So this can be really helpful. One, you don't have to sit there and think of all of your skills that you have, but it's also going to show you what will naturally be paired with things that are on your profile. How will you come up in searches? What else is it predicting that you would have? So if I was going to add this interpersonal skills to my skills section, I would click that here. And then you can select any place where you feel you gained those skills from. So what roles did you have where you felt like you improved or worked on or gained some of your interpersonal skills? And then that's how those skills were tied up to the other, to my experience section in my profile. So this can be really helpful. You could also link if you got those skills through your education or one of your certifications, or if those were through volunteering or any of the courses that you listed. So it can be really great to tie those to multiple places in your profile, as opposed to just having them all linked in the skills section. If you're in a rush or you're just trying to get some things in there, just add your skills. It's something you can always go back in and do later. You can always edit them. So I click save here. It's going to then add that to my profile under my skills section, and it'll then add it to my work experience as well. So you can see here it's added interpersonal skills, and then it's also going to be here under my skills section. So another great way to get some of those to show up in searches is to really complete this section as much as you can and then tie it to areas. The other thing you'll notice here is that you can be endorsed for skills. So folks that you're connected with can go in and endorse that you have those skills, and that will show up here as how many endorsements you have for different particular skills. So that can be another way to kind of highlight, to show things that you've gained throughout your career. And I'm going to talk about this when I talk about this next section, which is recommendations. You don't have to have any recommendations here, but if you do have them, they can be a great way for people to see what you offer. If someone's already writing you a letter of recommendation for graduate school or for some other reason, you might ask them if they would also feel comfortable putting it on LinkedIn. That can be a great way to highlight your profile and to show some of your accomplishments through having some recommendations and endorsements on here. One of the great things that I heard a long time ago, but I think is still true, is one of the best ways to get LinkedIn endorsements is to give LinkedIn endorsements. So something that you could do for people you've worked in a group project with, something you could do for faculty members or staff that you've worked with. You could go endorse some of their skills. And if someone's out there endorsing me, I'm like, what can I endorse them for? And you try to return that favor to them too. So it can be a great way to, again, build some connections, to build some people up in your network, and then also to reap some of those benefits for yourself as well. So as you can see, something I need to do is go out and give some recommendations. That's on my to-do list this week, is to try to get out there and recommend some people. And then as we get to the bottom, there's an area where you can upload courses. You don't need to upload every course you've taken in your degree. I uploaded or list these two courses because they were two tracks in my master's program, particularly the student cultures in the university environment. This is something that I studied in graduate school and was really passionate about and really interested in. It was unique to my program, so decided to highlight that by attaching that course to my profile. So you might think about what that is for you. Is there a particular program that you learned, a particular class that you took that was really impactful? Was it one of your electives on an area that you're really interested in outside of your major? So using this section to highlight things that are unique about you, courses that you've taken that might set you apart from other people. And then you can have your interests down here, companies that you follow, groups that you're a member of, and schools as a separate category to follow here too. So you can choose those things, and this will be linked again, another way to connect with people who have similar interests. You can link causes, and as we go down in the profile, you'll see the level of importance of some of these things becomes less and less. Someone's got to be really interested it in me to get all the way down here to find out what causes I'm active in or interested in. So that is the big overview of your LinkedIn profile. A few takeaways that I would leave you with are to really focus on this top piece of your profile. If you do nothing else or walk away with nothing else, I really hope that it inspires you to take a look at that headline and change it from the default setting that it has to really help increase your reach and your searchability, and to help highlight some unique features about you. I would encourage you to think about and attend our professional photo section on Friday if you can, if you don't have a profile picture already. And so I'm just going to put my contact information up here, and invite you also to connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you there. Send me a message if you want me to look at your profile and give you any tips or suggestions. I'm happy to review those for you. You can also set up an appointment with a career counselor here in CSE, where any of us are happy to look at your profile and give you some feedback and pointers on it, just like we would a resume. So feel free to reach out. My email is here and my LinkedIn profile is here. And then just a quick reminder about those professional photos on Friday. I'm going to just stop here and thank you all for attending today. I hope that you got something out of this and learned something about optimizing your LinkedIn profile. If you have any questions, I will hang around for a minute to answer anything in the chat. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here and have a great afternoon.